Old Saxon grammatical case, nominative, part 2. The nominative case, simply put, is the subject of the sentence, and we'll go through plenty of examples here in different contexts. Alright, so let's get right to it. Here we have what is called the predicate nominative, if you will. I mean, it's still the subject of the sentence, but this is more relating to do with verbs. To be, remain or stay, to become, seem, or to be called. Let's go into some examples. So here we have our first example of Ik is engelbium, meaning I am his angel, and what is in the nominative? It's simply ik. So here we have wicht onleested believe, something unfulfilled remains. So what is in the nominative? Well, it would be wicht and onleested. Onleested is a past participle, and we have wicht here, which is an indefinite pronoun. Wurðid im waldand gram. The ruler becomes hostile to them. So, what is in the nominative? Well, we have waldand and gram. So, waldand is the noun that is doing the becoming, and he's becoming what? He's becoming hostile. He's becoming gram. And gram is in the nominative as well. So with some verbs, or if you will, substantive verbs like wezan, to be, wurðid, like this one, where it's subject or adjectives or what have you are all in the same case as the nominative. Like this is a good example of this, because it's about being, if that makes sense. Ne thunkid me thit so me thing. It does not seem to me this suitable thing. So what is in the nominative? This might surprise you. Thit, so me, thing, this suitable thing. So the thing is, because we have the verb here, thunkid, which is an impersonal verb, and it's used in a way that it's like where the subject, so to speak, takes the dative. So the me here is me, but like that's not the nominative proper because there's no I here. So the dummy it, so to speak, it to me, or it does not seem to me, because we have the ne there for the negation. But so that's something to bear in mind. So some verbs, they function this way, where it's like kind of how in German today, mir ist kalt, where mir is it's the dative grammatically, but as far as sense wise, it's the subject, right? So as far as grammar here, what is in the nominative proper is thit so me thing. So this suitable thing. Maria berg Jericho hated. The famous city is called Jericho. So what is in the nominative? Well, it would be Theo Maria berg Jericho. So we have our verb here, hated, and this is to mean a bunch of things. In this context, is called. So it's telling the name of the city. So in this with some verbs, due to their nature, that its object is also in the nominative. So the famous city is in nominative, and so is the name that goes with it, because it's describing the city, right? So next, with the nominative, now we're working with verbs that more or less mean made, chosen, or to call by name. So let's go into a few examples. So we have our example here of Maria varun sie hetana. Maria varun sie hetana. So they were called Maria. So what is in the nominative? Well, it's Maria sie hetana. So they were and then called. So hetana is, in this context, is a past participle, and it's being used as a adjective to describe they. But of course, Maria takes the nominative because it's going hand in hand. So here we have our next example of varun im so akumana thuo noch je so forachta je frumida. So they were themselves so frightened, then still, and he made so afraid. So the thing is, to really break down the grammar here, we have akumana and forachta. These are in the nominative, but it's within the context that my translation here may look like the latter takes the some kind of object form, but it's more in the context that they were frightened and also afraid, and then kind of like an afterthought, so to speak, like he made thus or he made so. It's sort of what I'm going with this. So I hope that makes sense. Moving on. So here's our next example. Thé thar leirion waron a koran. Who their teachers were chosen. So what is in the nominative? It would be teachers and chosen. So leirion and a koran. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. And of course, a koran is past participle, and it goes with leirion, teachers. So here we have this interesting thing where the dative functions as the nominative, as the subject of the sentence in some roundabout way, which I'll explain right now. So with our first example, was ye koran te kuninge. So he was chosen as king. Our next example is he mid wapnu skal werdan enoka te banon. He with a weapon must become to Enoch as murderer. So what is being, in both examples, what is the dative here? It's the noun that comes after te. In the first one, it's kuninge, it's king, and the second one, it's banon. And the subject proper in the second example is he, and with the first one we don't have a explicit subject, but it's sort of implicit. It's implied, implicit through the dative, if that makes sense. All right, moving on. Next, with the nominative, we're dealing with verbs of being still and movement, where there's use of participles and adjectives. Let's get right to it. So here's our first example of Theo nu behilidan standat. They now stand united. So where's the nominative here? So we have Theo, which is they, and that's part of it. And then we have behilidan, which is actually a past participle. Griotande saton. They sat weeping. So interestingly enough, we have here a present participle, and it almost functions as an adverb here, but it isn't. It's a present participle. This is an adjective, a present participle functioning as an adjective to describe they. And we know it's they because satun is past plural, right? So, but what is in the nominative in the Old Saxon? Well, it's griotande. So that is our nominative, right? Because it's describing, the subjects, the weeping they, if you will. So next we have he so riuich sat. He sat so sad. So interestingly enough, what is the subject here? The subject is he, and then we've got riuich, which is an adjective, and it's going along with the subject, he. So he sat so sad. Next we have the here so siok ligid. Who here so sick lies. And this is lies in terms of like lying down, not someone who tells not the truth. So what is the subject here? The subject is siok, which is an adjective. And we got the here, which is, it's used as a relative particle here. So in some roundabout way, it does hint towards the subject, right? So that is something to bear in mind. But really what we're looking at here is the nominative siok here with the nominative adjective here. So, that he muoste quick libian. That he alive could live. So what is the subject of this sentence? So it would be he and then quick, and quick. What is quick? It is a adjective that means alive, and it agrees with he, which is he, which gives this really roundabout, interesting translation that he alive could live. So that's pretty much it, really. I mean, so the point is that quick is a nominative, so is he, and they go together because they're both one and the same. One's an adjective describing the subject. So that's pretty much it for this one. Moving on. Next, we have Heovande Geng. He or I, depending on the context, went lamenting. So here we have a present participle, and in this case, it is in the nominative. And gang is a past singular, so it means went. So he or I went, Or here, he or I lamenting went would be another way to translate this, but that's pretty much it. And what is in our nominative? It is heilvande. Heilvande. So here's our next example of skurun sorkonde sehan. They must sorrowfully see. So we got skulon here, which is our verb from skulan, meaning must, like obligation. And then we have sorkonde, which is a present participle, and it's describing the they. So like they sorrowfully must see. Interestingly enough, it almost functions here as an adverb, but really it's a present participle functioning as an adjective for the they here, which is interesting of itself. And then we have sehan, which simply means to see. So our subject in this little clause here is the sorgonde, sorrowfully. Moving on. And that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe if you are new. And if you really like the channel, please become a patron at my Patreon page down below. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.